All right, they've been living here a year. They're in Chachagua, about 18 minutes from La Fortuna. Man, they just got here and they built a house. We're going to be talking to them. This is going to be fun. We're going to get to it in about 45 seconds. Guys, I'm Michael Allen for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do. YouTube's hard these days. Want to see videos as I put them up, hit the notification bell. And man, if you want to show some love for 16 years, over 1,000 videos of traveling and living here, there's a fun way to donate. Buy me a coffee. It's in the link in the description. You guys know I love coffee. I even bring my own, although they made some. You guys made some,
We
right?
made some coffee for you.
Anyway, fun way to donate. And you guys that have, thank you very much, man. I really do appreciate it. Relocation retreat. If Costa Rica's on your radar, it was on their radar before. You got a retreat coming up, 6-7 day event. If you're not quite sure if Costa Rica's right for you or not, we're not trying to get you here. We're just trying to give you information so you can make a good decision. We have fun, man. It's the contacts alone are worth the price of admission. Anyway, fun, half vacation, tons of information, and I think by the end of the 6-7 day event, you'll know if Costa Rica is right for you or it's honey. We're going to Belize. You guys didn't go to Belize.
We didn't go to Belize.
Didn't go to Belize. All right, guys. This is Audris. This is Brian. I need a sip first.
Okay, take your time.
Okay, I got to tell you, man, coming down here, you know those people that say, I want to be off the grid?
Yes. Yes.
Off the grid. My
Yes.
God, I thought I was going the wrong way, man.
Yes.
I thought Waze was messing with me.
Yes.
All right, guys, I'd like to, since we have never done a video, it's kind of fun to get you down here,
Mm-hmm.
Get you here. So, first of all, you're from the States, right?
We are from the States.
Right. Where?
We're from Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay, Delaware. So what was going on that Costa Rica or not just, maybe just going out of the country, what was going on? Retirement, a change of life, government? What got you started on this journey or venture?
So it really started in 2018, and I was doing a teacher training down here with a friend, and I was here for the month of July, and then Audris and our daughter came after that for a couple weeks vacation. And that sort of planted the seed of someday we could retire down here. We could move down here. And so that's what planted the seed.
Yeah. Can I take a step back, though?
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd actually considered leaving the U.S. even before then. I think that our work lives were really hectic. And we were reaching retirement age. And we're not retirement age yet.
I retire at 35.
Thank you so much, Michael. We're actually not retirement age yet. We're a little bit younger than that, but we retired early. But we started thinking about it because of a number of different things. It's kind of that list that you mentioned when you first set the stage. It's a little bit of each of those things. But I think for us, it was the desire to live a different life, a very different life.
Define different.
Well,
simple?
Simpler, where work wasn't the focus of our lives. We were so consumed by work. And if you really think about it, this is not unusual in the States.
No, that's hamster wheel stuff right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were churning on that wheel, and we've been churning on that wheel for years. I mean, each one of us have been in our respective careers for 20 plus years. And we got to a point where we said, you know what? Something's got to give. We really want to do something different. Again, as we're approaching retirement age. And I think it was a combination of things that really made us want to leave the United States. First of all, the desire not to be on that work wheel anymore. Desire to live more simply. And then establishing more sense of a community. Oddly enough, I mean, we're both Americans. We have family, we have friends in the States, but because our work lives our lives were so consumed by work, you're working long hours during the week, and then on the weekends, that's really your time to do other things that you weren't able to accomplish during the week because you're working, errands and things. And so it felt like we really had so much little time to spend with friends and family. And so you remove that focus so much on work, and you have more time to do more of the things that you want to do. including focus on community.
Now, was it always Costa Rica, or were you looking at other places?
We briefly entertained the idea of Thailand because
Yes.
I had lived there. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the 90s, and we briefly entertained that idea, but then realized that it's literally on the other side of the world.
So family and friends became a concern for just like, gosh,
That's
if we
right.
go back, not only are we going to spend $20,000 to get there or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. The
That's
money
right.
and the time invested
That's right.
to
Right.
travel
That's right.
back.
I think we'd even looked at the south of France at one point. Here's the thing. At a certain point, once we realized that we were thinking about leaving the US, and this is well before 2018, every vacation we took, it was like, this is a place where we could live the rest of our adult lives. And so we had a trip to south of France once. We loved it, but from a practical standpoint, I think that didn't work because I think it's much harder to immigrate to a country like France.
Now, how much time before you started kind of looking or thinking about it? Had you been coming? Did you visit Costa Rica after you did this?
Yeah.
So you've been
We've been coming to Costa Rica for years,
even before.
just on
Okay.
vacation.
Yeah.
And then Brian mentioned the teacher training he did. And that was the trip that we spent 2 good weeks here in Costa Rica, where the idea of moving to Costa Rica really began to solidify.
What did the family think? Were they like, "What are you guys doing? Why you gotta?"
Yes.
They like, "Yeah, man, do you?" Or were they kind of? Was it half and half, or was that all that?
Well, I think that the idea of leaving the States and moving abroad, the family was like, all right, you're doing you. I think both of us spent a lot of our adult lives traveling abroad. So it was not unusual for people, for us to just be on the go, right? In terms of moving abroad, I think
Were they surprised?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Friends also, because we had talked about it for a few years, and then once we actually set the date, they were like, I can't believe you're
it's
doing
like, no
it.
one really believes you. It's like,
Right,
yeah, we heard that
right,
before.
right.
You like the south of France too, but you didn't go there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom, I think, struggled a little bit with it. I think her concept of us being out of the country means that we're so distant. And my mom lives in Indiana. And when we were in Delaware, we were still a day's travel away from her, which we are now. And trying to help her understand that a farther distance, but still time-wise, we can get there in the same amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
It feels almost like the concept of our being in a different country feels like a lot more, even though the distance is not as great. I mean, not greater.
So what was the draw of, I mean, I know you've been here and that's great, but vacation is not living here. We all know that. So what was the draw? What were you guys going, okay, these are some of the advantages that might be living here. Mm-hmm. What were they?
I mean, we already knew people here. We have a friend who's been here for 20 plus years. And then there's also a community of people here already. And like Audra said, that was really important for us. It's really ironic that we've had to leave the United States to our own country and culture to find community in another country. But that was really important.
I don't think, if you think about it, that's not that surprising because everyone's on that hamster wheel. Everybody's just trying to do their thing, man. It's not that they mean not to come over.
Right.
It's they're as busy as you are, and they're like, I'm sorry, I gotta.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's not like people are mean there. They want to do it too.
Right.
But it's just like, damn it, I got 5 minutes. I think I might sit down for a minute.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you kind of already said it. So one of the other reasons, maybe a little bit more simpler life. Now, simple. Okay, I live simple, and you guys are about 5-10 steps above me. So what's simpler? Just time management, or the pura vida, like that whole pure life and manana type thing.
Yeah.
Simple, or all of that.
I think all of that. I think living, first of all, kind of a lower cost of living. Let me be clear. Costa Rica is not as inexpensive as we thought it was going to be. I mean, we really thought that the cost of living here was going to be significantly lower. And it really isn't. Depending. Now, it may...
Well, it is wants and needs, though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you want your cushiony recliner,
Right.
yeah, it's
Right.
Right.
Or the imported American foods.
Exactly. So we still do go to Walmart. We pick up things like ketchup. I mean,
And we never went to Walmart in the United States.
Which is
I feel
ironic.
you guys are a little bougie.
Ever.
I feel you're a little bougie. I think you need your blue cheese on the cracker.
No, we don't. But it is also a process of transition, right? So it's that I think our going to Walmart is a way of kind of bridging sort of our old lives and our new lives. And I think the more comfortable we get here, and the more we really explore what's available, like we'll give up. Well, I don't know if we'll give up the Heinz, but we'll give up some of those things.
No. You cannot eat the ketchup here. I don't care.
I know.
I've tried. Why don't you just have a tablespoon of sugar and a tomato, and you'd be good.
Oh wait, there's tomato in it here?
No,
exactly.
There's a lot of sugar.
Exactly. There's a lot of
We
sugar.
were in the grocery store, and this was when we first arrived, maybe the first time we were at a grocery store. And we were looking at the prices of ketchup, and the local stuff's a lot cheaper. So I picked up a bottle of it, and there was a gringo woman there, and she's like, "No, you don't want that.
It's probably still in your."
No, we didn't. We were right away. It was like, put it away.
Yeah.
And got the.
Now, do you
bottle
guys
of
feel like
Heinz.
are you guys feel like you're sticking to your budget? Was it so surprisingly like a little bit more expensive than we thought that you guys had to? You know what I mean? Like a little bit more than you thought you were going to spend monthly.
And I think that's also because we're outfitting the house. Like we had to come here, we had to buy a car, we bought a truck. We had to, so because we built the house, we didn't come here with furniture already. We didn't come here with a lot of things. So we had to do everything from scratch. So a big part of our budget was and still is like, you have to get a table, you have to get chairs, you have to get dishes. So
everything.
Everything.
Guys, they have a great house, man. They have this is the bomb, and you built it. And we're going to get to that maybe a little bit later. But do you guys, since you've only been here a year, and you have, I don't want to say you've been distracted, but you got things to do every day. You got tasks still.
Yeah.
So at some point that will, like slow down. You have a little bit more time on your hands. Do you feel like you're still maybe in the honeymoon period?
We are, but I don't know how much those tasks will slow down. So I mentioned that
So you'll be busy anyway.
we'll be busy. And that was part of the plan. It was like, well, we didn't think that we wouldn't not do anything here. It's the things that we do here were things that we wanted to do. So we don't want to sit at a desk in an office for 8 hours a day. What we want to do is work outside and work in nature.
Now, I'm sorry, since you just kind of, I'll forget the question if I don't like them.
No worries.
So, are you just out and out retired? Do you plan on getting into anything like maybe some sort of fun hobby that can make some money, or are you just, that's not really in
So I was a teacher back in the United States, and I was teaching English as a second language in a elementary school. And that's what I'm still teaching English now. I'm doing a project where I work with Costa Rican English teachers to improve their English language. Exactly. Working with the English teachers to improve their English.
They are,
right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. I've kind of been reborn teaching. I was at the point where I was burnt out, but this experience working with the teachers has really revived me as a teacher.
Because they need you, and you kind of know they do, and you can feel that, like, man, I'm giving back.
Yeah,
and it's kind of probably a good feeling.
Yeah,
and I think also you're teaching adults here, whereas you didn't teach adults in the States,
right?
And your student population is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like there's something gratifying about teaching people who recognize the opportunity
and
that they're being given and want to learn, and really appreciate you as an educator.
Yeah.
So when you guys got here, now everything that's like in the last year, did you kind of know how this was going to play out? Have you guys been like, shit, I didn't know that was going to happen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or did you guys know what you were getting into? Did you do enough homework? Okay, you came down here, but we all know that coming down here, and that's nice. Yeah. But, the everyday life of stuff, did you guys feel prepared that, has anything been like totally like, oh my God, what is that?
Michael, every day is something different. Every day is something different.
I feel like you're holding something.
I might be. Well, let's just say we were prepared in a way. So we knew it was going to be tough. Like any kind of move of this magnitude is going to be, it's a big life change, right? And so we knew there might even be days when we're like, what did we do? That said, there have been days when it's been like, this is great. And like, yes, everything we're doing makes sense. We know we made the right decision. There have been also some days where we're not so sure about that just because things have come up that we were not prepared for. And it's been like, okay, now we have to figure out this. For example, we bought a truck.
That one?
We bought this truck over here.
It looks nice from here.
And buying a used car here in Costa Rica is, I understand from others, having talked to them about it, their experiences, it's sort of a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. And depending on where you buy your car and even your experience and your knowledge of cars, yourself when buying a car, can really make a big difference. So we didn't know anything about trucks. We didn't have a truck. We bought a truck. We had a little bit of trouble with the truck when we were looking at it. We bought it anyway because they seemed to fix the problem. Well, they didn't fix the problem. The problem was a little bit more extensive than we thought.
You were led to believe.
Than we were led to believe. And so it's been a process, a slow, sometimes agonizing process to figure out what the heck is wrong with the truck so that we can have a reliable vehicle.
Not just keep sinking money. I am going to break in here right now because, I was telling you early, guys, the contacts are big here. Well, guess who one of my contacts are? Good used car. They do it for you. They handhold you and get you a good car. They make a little money, but I'm just saying. Because it is a problem because the whole car thing is different. Like I bought this freaking Suzuki Vitara. Freaking mistake. My engine is a piece of it works. It's a great engine. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm in a manual. I'm like, and it's like it doesn't fit the terrain. And I was like, well, I'm just going to be going like on the freeway back and forth a little bit. But I was in Uvita. Guess what? She lives up on this hill I had to go. It's like, man, my car was like winding out and So this lady, Allie, helps with the where are you going to live? You got to make sure you get the right car and that whole. Can I get one for $10,000? No.
Yes.
You can't because everything's double here. Yes. Because that's actually would be like a $5,000 car in the United States. And I don't know about you, but I'm not sure if that's going to do it. Right. So you're looking at least for a decent used car, you're probably at $20,000 at least.
Yeah.
At least, and probably you should be doing more, but 20 is pretty much okay. I can get something in that range, but I give people because people fill out the form for that lady who does the car. And what's your budget? Oh, 10,000, and we have to write them.
No,
because you're going to be upset because that $10,000 car is not as and guess who you're going to be mad at? Me.
Right.
So
yes. And I wish we had known that. I mean, we knew about some of the services you offered, but anyway,
I wasn't giving. Trust me, I made all those mistakes and more.
Right.
and people will because every experience is different. But I love what you said about the terrain. That is really, really important because the car looked great when we were driving along the streets of San Jose. It worked great. Where we live, by the way, the roads are unpaved, and that's not uncommon here in Costa Rica. So you have to be really, really careful about like the type of vehicle you choose, depending on where you live and where you travel.
Well, you definitely. That road coming down. You're in a beautiful spot. You're in the. This is off the grid. This is at the last house on the left. It's got the creek. It's or the stream. It's got everything. But if during rain, you would probably just to be on the safe side. You definitely would need like 4-wheel drive for sure.
Absolutely.
And you say off the grid, but we're connected to the.
I just like saying it because it's kind of cool.
Right.
Cool.
I don't mean like they're going to the bathroom out in the jungle.
We're not homesteaders.
Yeah,
by
but we have
any
like
stretch of the
municipal
imagination.
water. We're connected to the electrical grid. Because when we were looking at places, there was a place on the Caribbean that we did look that was completely off the grid. And we knew somebody there who had plots of land for sale. And we spent a couple days there, and we're like, this is a little too much.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple. First of all, I was going to say something really. It's like, I don't know if you've really had time to enjoy your fruits of your labor yet. You've been so busy, like with truck stuff and things. I'm not sure if I can see why you might second guess yourself when you lay in bed at night going, what the fuck did we do? Because you haven't really got to maybe experience some of what Costa Rica can give back to you in a sense.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, since we've been here, the year we've been here, we haven't explored any other area of Costa Rica. We just haven't had the time or felt like, there are lots of things to do here. And you're right. We've been very, very home focused.
And now we don't feel like we have dependable transportation, so we need to get that issue fixed.
Yeah, I don't either. I feel the same way. It's funny. So they live in a town, let's say, called Chachagua, and I don't know what happened, but Chachagua became the 90210 or some shit. Because when we were starting to do our real estate about whenever it was 3 or 4 years ago, the first house we ever filmed, the very first, we were kind of new to the thing. The guy we're working with, the real estate agent, goes, "Hey, let's go film this thing, put it up on your channel."
Yeah.
We're walking around. It's an acre of land. It's a Tico house, but a really nice one. A bodega. It was really nice. A house in the back where the guy raised canaries.
Oh,
but it could have been It could have been another Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I was walking. All of a sudden, I go, "How much is he selling this for?" It was $120,000. I was like, "What? I'll take 2."
Right.
So, and then after that, when we started filming a lot here in Chachagua, house after house after house, and I was like, "What is going on?" Now, I think the prices have changed here. I think since then, because I think Chachagua is getting almost to be known. There are so many gringos here. It's weird.
I can't tell you how strange it is to hear, like, oh, there's someone new, another immigrant to Costa Rica that's moving to Chachagua.
Yeah.
When you don't even have to speak Spanish out here. There's so many.
Just about.
But anyway, this place in Chachagua, which is 20 minutes away from where I live, La Fortuna, is a kind of it's nice out here, but I just don't understand how everyone, because Fortuna's not really looked at for people to build and live.
I don't think it is.
It's not. I mean, it's just not. There's some of us are there, but most people don't. They come out like here, but I just do not know how Chachagua got like so popular.
Yeah. Maybe because it's just speculation. It's kind of the largest town with actually a town center that's close enough to Fortuna where you can go into Fortuna if you want to for restaurants or for some entertainment. Karaoke.
Yeah, you're not.
Exactly. But then you're close enough that you're away from that tourist center, and you can come home and it be as pastoral as it is off the grid, like we are. But you're close.
So how did you find it though? How did you even find Chachagua?
How did we find this place? So a friend of a friend was selling land.
Yeah.
And the funny story about how we got here, because this wasn't our first area of interest in Costa Rica. We were looking at a place farther south in Perez Zeledon area.
That's popular too.
You take Ojo Chal and then you move up into the mountains, and there was another community there that we were looking at that we were so close to buying a plot of land in, but we found out they didn't have all of their T's crossed and their I's dotted in terms of
red flags everywhere.
Yes,
water rights.
They didn't have the water rights. Exactly. So we pulled out of that situation, but we still had a trip planned to Costa Rica. We know people in this area. So we came here, we were a little bit bummed out because we had no plan. And that was when we started looking in this area. And a friend of ours here, been here a long time and has a lot of connections in the area, knew someone who had a plot of land that she was looking to sell. And so, and we also had kind of requirements.
How much is this?
2 acres.
2.12 acres.
Nice.
Yes. And our requirements were that it be a good sized plot of land because we wanted to build a house. We wanted to have an area where we we could reforest, we could have fruit trees, and then we could have a vegetable garden. And so, but we also want it to be close to water.
Oh, you are. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Yes, we are very close to a popular river here. Just steps to it. We haven't been in the river yet, but that's another one of the things on our list to explore about our property.
How long do you guys give yourself for more? I mean, you got so much to do. I mean, you built the house, you had it built, so obviously there's another year of like just doing stuff before you can actually maybe sit back for a second, or you know what I mean?
Well,
a couple of years.
I know it never stops because it's like, we got to fix the yard, we got to put those things. So those little projects are fun, but there's still a point where you feel like you've got the roots down now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel like that quite yet, or maybe you do.
Well, we do have roots in terms of community. In terms of being settled on our property, there's still a little bit more time.
I mean, I feel settled as far as the interior, the house, all that is great. Now, for me, it's working on the exterior and getting things like fruit trees, a garden put in, those sorts of things. I like to transform the property.
Dare I say it, there's still certain areas of our property that we have to like kind of bring under control. So I don't know if I don't and I don't know if I mentioned at the start of this conversation, but it was 2 acres of dirt pretty much, and it had been a yucca field, a cassava field. And you walk out and you'll still see like where the trees are coming up now and it's overgrown with grass, like you'll still feel the different rows where everything was planted. Exactly. So there is a lot here that we want to kind of make our own. So I mentioned there's a big area that we want to reforest because as a big field, there wasn't a lot of wildlife on the land. We want to bring back birds. We want to bring back all those things like the iguanas.
Maybe get these corridors open a little bit.
Open up the corridors. We have howler monkeys that we hear just over the river. So we want to get those closer.
Nice.
So to answer your question about like when may we feel settled and maybe can relax, I would say maybe another year or so, because like we can't really plant anything right now. It is summer, and while we still do have some rain, we do have periods where it's not raining, and so it just feels like it'd be a lot more work to have to water things. So why not take advantage of the next rain season?
It's been raining a lot these last couple months.
And that's been a big adjustment, is getting used to the cycles of the seasons and what you can and can't do. You know, in rainy season, you know, yes, it is a time to plant, but when you get stretches of days where it's raining,
this has been a little abnormal, just so you know. I mean, we get rain, obviously. But after 19 years, this year was a little much.
Okay, that's what thank you for confirming that because it does feel like a lot. And I don't know if that's normal or.
Now I got to ask this because you are white and you're, I don't know if you knew that.
Are you?
But since people have been asking me for ages, since I'm gay, they ask me how are gays treated down here. So you guys are obviously not both white.
Right.
So have you faced any sort of like discrimination, do you feel? Do you feel like you've been accepted? Does anybody give you a side eye when you're in the store? Do you feel any of that?
No. And it's interesting too, because, in the States, like, especially as a dark-skinned Black woman, you can be very conscious of your own skin. And it's a little bit of that here because I think when we first started coming here, we didn't really see a lot of Black people in the area. And that includes not only Black tourists, but also Black Costa Ricans, because as we know on the Caribbean side, there are Black Costa Ricans, right? Right. And I think since then, I've seen Black tourists, I've seen Black Costa Ricans. It's not a big deal.
More actually. It's funny. I was thinking about this earlier. I actually know more mixed couples than I do two black people or whatever. I know a lot of mixed. I know you guys mentioned, I think, Tuesday and Jason. They're not here anymore. Yeah. And I can keep kind of going. Devin, that video I sent you,
yes.
So and I asked everybody the question they all have the same answer you just said. Not really, no.
Yeah.
And like when we go into shops and stores, I always feel like they're welcoming, and I don't feel any hesitation to interact.
Yeah.
Well, I also attribute that to they're just nice people.
That's
and
nice
after you walk out, they might say, "I cannot believe." No, seriously, a little bit. But so what?
Yeah.
If you're nice to me,
Yeah.
we are good. You want to
Exactly.
talk shit when I turn around? That is none of my business.
Exactly. Well, because you can't control that, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't care.
Yeah,
actually.
right,
Yeah.
right.
The funny story is we have local friends, and they have two daughters. One's a teenager, and one's 11 or so, and girls, and they're fascinated with Audrey's. Like her hair, I don't know if you can't see in the video, but she has.
I'm growing my
has
locks again, guys.
Uh-oh.
4th time.
Yeah, and they're just fascinated with it. Like they were trying to do it with their hair, weren't they? Like the little one.
Oh my God, they were appropriating.
I know.
Oh my God, you better.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. So we heard this from their mom.
Yeah.
So it's really cute. It was really sweet. I mean, and I've been to places. So we both traveled the world, and I've been to places like being in Japan, where I'm standing on the subway, and I feel. And this is the first time I had locks back in the day, and they were really long. And I'm feeling something behind me, and there were 3 older Japanese women who were just kind of like, "Oh, honto," kind of looking at my hair.
Japan's kind of known for that. They do that shit to me, and I got no locks. They stare. They all stare at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I lived there. I lived there for a couple of years.
Japan.
So,
Yeah.
You can leave your cell phone on the freaking train and come back 3 months later and still be there.
I know. But I just want to make one more point about race here. And I think the thing for us, though, is that we are remembered wherever we go. So I think the nice thing about being here as a interracial couple, and especially as we go about our business and shops and things, and people remember us. And and it's that kind of helps the relationship forward.
No, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, most definitely.
But then if I go out by myself, they won't remember me.
Because you're
just another
white guy.
So, did you make any major mistakes? Now, the house thing, the building of the house, the reason I don't want to bring it up too much is because that's a whole video.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of, I got a million questions about actually your experience with building.
And we look forward to it.
And we can do that. But again, what I said before, I don't know if we answered it. Have you been like super shocked about what? So maybe the good things that you're really digging about Costa Rica so far, and maybe a couple of the things that you're like, I could go without that one. I'm bitching.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Again, what I'm digging is the community that we've established, the pace of life.
Yeah.
And there's a gentleness to the people that I really appreciate. Compared to the United States, and I'm not trying to trash the United States, but I feel like my personality fits in better here. And like I grew up in an agricultural area in Indiana, so when we moved here, and Audrey grew up in Atlanta, so urban, rural. And when we moved here, I'm just like, yeah, this is my pace of life. I can fit right into this.
Well, plus the stress level goes way down. It's palpable, don't you think?
It didn't at first for me, though. It didn't at first for me because, like Brian was saying, I've lived in cities all my life. Even when I lived abroad, I was in cities. And I think there was something about being out here in the quiet and nature. And I mean, I love it. It's one thing when you're like this and you're traveling. It's another thing to settle here and this be kind of your home. And it just took me a minute to get used to just being feeling a little isolated.
Well, especially city life into you're like 2 seconds from the jungle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So a couple of maybe some things you're a little. Well, that was one you kind of said you're a little anxious at first.
Yeah.
What about the? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, because I wanted to talk a little bit about the positives too. One of the things I really love is how forgiving Ticos have been in terms of the language. So Brian and I made attempts to really learn Spanish before we came, but again, you only get so far when you're in a culture where you're not using it constantly. So we come to Costa Rica, and our Spanish proficiency is not where we want it to be. We're able to communicate on basic things, but I think people here have just been really, really forgiving with our ability to speak. We try very hard, and I think people do appreciate that.
They appreciate the attempt.
Totally appreciate the attempt.
And last week we were at the pharmacy, and we got a compliment because she said, "Oh, you're doing really well with your Spanish." And she speaks English, but we were able to have the transaction going in Spanish. And she's like, oh, that's great. You guys are really coming along with your Spanish.
May I make a point too? Because it is not our intention to move to Costa Rica and conduct our interactions with people here in English. That floors me, actually.
Yeah.
And I really don't quite understand. You're moving to a country where Spanish is the language, and you insist on trying to speak English with people, particularly if you're going to live here. So anyway, I think people really appreciate that we're trying.
Well, I was going to say, we're grateful when people can speak English, and there are certain things like medical, legal, we want that in English because of the complexity of it.
Or you want a translator, because even if your Spanish gets really good, you still want a translator on legal stuff and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I will tell people, go ahead.
But just like in everyday in everyday interactions, if something that we run up against we don't understand and they can switch to English, we're grateful for it, but there's not the expectation that they're going to speak English.
Exactly.
I'd give you guys a hack if you're ever in Costa Rica. You know what? Buenos dias, buenas tardes, and buenas noches goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
You don't know anything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Just a little bit of a greeting, and you're kind of in. They'll be like, oh, they're kind of nice.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know anything else.
Yep.
Just say those things when people walk by, or people when you go in the store or whatever. Just say one of those, like, buenos dias.
Yep.
And that's the pace, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know nothing.
That's exactly right.
The smile thing reminds me, too, that it's nice to smile at somebody and they smile back compared to living where we did in the U.S. and you smile at someone.
Why are you smiling at me?
Exactly.
Particularly in the cities.
You want something from me, don't you?
Right, exactly. Right.
Can I finish the thought, though, about the positives and maybe not so positives?
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I mentioned the cost is one. And one other thing that I think was kind of shocking for me is I would say the pace at which people get things done. And in the US, as you know, expediency or the quickness of like however you're able to get of you're being able to get stuff done is actually considered like, I mean, that's what people try to do. Here, people take their time and aren't really rushed to do things, even if it's things like building a house. Even if it's things like...
She's being so nice about this, guys. Just trust me on this.
We've got a whole separate conversation about house building. But but just that we had to learn that patience is a virtue, and that the slower, I mean, it just why rush? Why rush into things? I mean...
Oh, you can try. They'll calm you down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another funny thing that doesn't really work here. I don't know if you've tried it yet. Money is not necessarily motivating for them to do anything quicker. So you go, no, really, if you get my lumber to my house, tomorrow, I'm going to give you another extra $100. They literally don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny? We've had friends who grease the wheel, so to speak, with gifts of food. They'll bake cookies, or they may come with a 6-pack of beers for their workers. Yeah, and sometimes that sort of gesture, I mean, money isn't everything here, that's for sure. But sometimes that gesture of like kind of goodwill, or hey, I did this for you,
appreciation.
Yeah.
I think that probably means more to them because you went out of your way to go buy that beer or get that,
make those
food.
Cookies.
Yeah. Giving somebody money is almost an arrogant way of doing it.
Yeah, it's very impersonal.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, I know you don't have much, so I'm going to do this and you're going to do it for me because I got the money.
That's right.
Try that.
Let
me know how it goes for you.
That's right.
So did you guys make a plan B? Is there a plan B, or this is it?
Oh, this is it. This is it. We are making this work.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not going to work. It's that sometimes we just have to adjust our expectations or just our way of thinking about something, but we're happy. We're happy here. And I think that, as we continue to explore our land and kind of get more settled here, I know we're going to be happy.
Okay, not that it can't be a house answer. Nothing to do with the house. Is there anything you would have done different?
We would not have bought a truck the second day we were here.
Do you sense a theme here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Hey, guys,
we arrived and then we bought the truck the next day.
You can get a good price on a truck, guys, if you're coming down to Costa Rica, I think, right? It worked. It looks really nice. Looks like it worked.
Tricky transmission.
Do you have the same answer?
We might not have bought quite as much land.
Yeah.
Because and it's so
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
2 acres is nice.
Two
Or it's
acres.
not, but you don't feel it's not manageable.
Well, that's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. 2 acres. If we had bought land that had a house on it that happens to be 2 acres that was already kind of prepped for us, that's one thing. Again, this was a field. This was a field when we first bought it in 2022. By the time we started building on it in November 2023, it was starting to overgrow. And so by the time we actually moved here, now it's like, oh, we've got to manage this because maybe we want something that's a little bit kind of like a lawn where we can just sort of go out, sit in the grass, enjoy the stars. Maybe we don't have to clear as much in order to prep where we want to put a garden. We certainly wouldn't have to clear as many vines in order to plant the trees that we want to plant to reforest the stuff. So I would say we love the amount of land, but it's the maintenance that goes with having to manage land that you bought that was completely nothing.
D'Angelo and I learned this the hard way up at his mountain house. We spent, I don't know, a few years just planting. And with little plants, Brian. They were like this. They were so cute.
Yeah.
Guess what? Those little plants, and then we made the mistake of putting some plants where they shouldn't be, like, oh, that's too much shade. And so we had to dig those up. But what ended up happening is you better be on it because it literally gets out of control. And his did.
Yes.
It just like it gets out of control. So be careful what you wish for. You want to jungle it out. But there's a reason if you look around how the way the Ticos do it, you're going, why is your house, why is your hotel so manicured? Why don't you make it more jungly? Because the jungle takes over if you don't freaking on top of it all the time. So when you think, what's that rule? Like when you first plant something, the first year you're thinking, oh, it's not working or something. And then by the third year, it's a freaking Anyway, so he learned that kind of. It was beautiful. I mean, you have beautiful plants and all kinds of fruits and stuff, but it's in this little property because he's only got 1,000 square meters or whatever, and it's just freaking packed. It's kind of cool, but it's very hard to keep up with. For sure.
And there's no dormant season here.
No,
it grows 12 months a year.
Yes,
continuously.
Yes, and that was sort of an aha moment. I mean, we knew that, but as you're doing things and as you're trying to grow things and trying to keep things from growing that you don't want to grow, that was aha. And so going back to what you were saying about like, do we ever feel like we're going to be settled and like how much more work do we feel like we need to do? Well, again, this place was jungling out by the time we moved here. So it's kind of getting some level of control, and maybe control is the wrong word, but some level of control over that so that we can be intentional about what we plant of the things that we want to plant.
Yeah, so you do want a more manicured, or at least a big section of it more manicured. Which is obviously doable. It's just getting at that one
That's
point.
Right. That's it.
So any advice for people that they're looking at you guys and going, honey, they did it. We can do it. Can you give them any advice besides going to travelcostaricanow.com and checking out those videos?
Well, that's the first thing. The second thing is, I guess, manage your expectations. And I know there's a lot in that. Excuse me. I know there's a lot in that, but like, you just have to be able to kind of go with the flow a little bit, I think, because you're moving to a different culture. And even though some aspects of Costa Rican culture may feel very similar to how it is in North America, either in the US or Canada, it's a different country and people do things here differently. And I would just say, certainly be respectful of that, but try to have an open mind about things too.
I don't know. I think you nailed it. And I would give that's what I come up with after 19 years. Manage your expectations. Do not bring your wherever the fuck you're from down here and expecting this stuff to be the same in any regard. So, and if you can manage those expectations, you're going to have a much better transition. Did you have one?
Life's short. Life is short, you know, and 20 years go by in a blink of an eye. And yeah, it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's not easy.
Yes.
You know, sometimes for me, I'll think back, oh, I can just be back in the US, living my life, knowing how it's predictability. But then, I mean, I was in a rut. And
you needed a new adventure.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, guys, we're going to end it there because we could talk all day, and I could have, we're going to be doing more videos with them. So, Audrey, thank you very much for your time. Brian, thank you so much.
Okay.
But we are going to be, I guarantee we're going to be speaking to them again. Guys, I'm Michael Allen from TravelCostaRicaNow.com. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'm going to say my video. Check out that one. Or that one. All right, man. Peace. Ciao.